His first visit to Road America is still tapped to likely walk out of here with a gold. However, they often say the spoils the victory go to the swift, and that's what Bernie Sernier is hoping for, a brand new swift, and his veteran runoffs campaigner who finished as high as fourth is hoping to earn that first medal, and he'd love to make it a gold. But Calvin Fish, for these guys to recognize their dreams, they may have to fight through a couple of
guys who are waging a mano-a-mano battle that started last year.
Greg, you're absolutely right. Last year in the C racing category, we had a classic battle going on the racetrack. And ultimately, it was this man, Ben Beasley, who came out on top, claiming his fourth national championship. Now, what Ben has done this year, he's taken that Mazda Power, put it in the back of this Roll RT40, and is going to go for his fifth championship, but this time in Formula Atlantic. But the man who he competed wire-to-wire against last year was this man, Jacek Muka. He's going to be doing double duty here this weekend, not only competing in Formula Atlantic, but C Sports Racer as well.
It is time for the Valvoline Runoffs, SCCA's national championship battle, and the fastest of all the cars on the track, Formula Atlantic, are about to set sail. Hi, everybody, and welcome to a beautiful Mid-Ohio sports car course. Had some rain this morning, looking better today, this afternoon certainly, and we are ready to go racing to determine the Formula Atlantic Championship. Calvin Fish is joining me here in the booth, and is a man who knows an awful lot about this track. Cal?
Well, Greg, this is certainly a very challenging racetrack, not only for the drivers, but the setup as well. Turns 1 here and turns 11, very fast, almost wide open in a Toyota Atlantic car. And as you come down this straightaway here, we've got the chicane is a little bit different now, so it's very important to get late on the brakes there into turn 2. Onto the long back straightaway. As you come through the SSA, you need to be clean and tidy, and then the real critical corner is turn 9.
All right, thanks very much, Calvin. Appreciate it. And it's going to be an awfully interesting race. Certainly going to be a very fast one. Let's meet our pit reporter, Brian Till.
Well, guys, keep your eye on the number 4 car of Tony Kazmich. He's qualified 8th, but this guy has won the last 3 Formula Z-Tech Pro races at this racetrack. He also is the Formula Continental National Champion from the year 2000. He's got a handful of national event victories underneath him. Didn't qualify well, but the car has gotten better and better each session out. John Bizignano, what do you got?
Well, Brian, as you well know, this is one of the classes in the amateur championships where a young driver, a young lion, can make a name for himself that might actually lead to a professional career. He can take a win at this particular event to any pro team and say, listen, I am capable of driving in the pro leagues. Watch these young lions trying to come through the field for the front. It could be the start of a great career.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. And the field rolling off, let's give you the starting lineup. And a gentleman who's come close a couple of times has found the pole position. Keith Lively is up front. Rennie Clayton, what a story, as we've talked about. A huge wreck early. That car, they've been chipping away at it. And Ben Beasley, frankly, Calvin, I think Ben may be a little surprised that he qualified that well in this very experimental car.
Well, he's done a great job making the transition over from C Sports Racer. He's won 4 championships there and has shown a lot of speed this weekend. Don't count him out for a gold medal.
Absolutely not. As we see him make their way around Lively in the blue car, you see Clayton running absolute sticker tires. So they're on a little bit different strategy here. Oh, and we have a car that is not starting. Let's get down to Brian Till.
It's Tom Nastasi in his number 23 car. He qualified 7th. When they started the car up a little while ago to warm it up, it didn't sound quite right, and they actually had the side pods off, the bodywork. They did some work on the electrical stuff, but when they shut it down, it would not refire, and he sits on the grid with no power.
All right, thanks very much. And the gentleman you talked about on the false grid, Kazmits, the problem he was having earlier in the weekend was they had some serious ignition problems in that engine, and it was just had a frequent high speed and constant miss. But obviously, they've been trying to sort that out. And if they got it right, Kazmits will be an absolute rocket from the back. He is one of the fastest drivers in the country in Formula Atlantic. Green flag coming up. Don't go anywhere.
Drive a sports car like no other. The all-new Mazda RX-8. Bringing ultra-high performance from racetracks to your car. Formula Technology, Kumho.
So this Navy pilot guy says to me, have you noticed how much military technology becomes stuff we use every day? And I say, like what? Like the B-52 blender? The George Patton grill? The AK-47 bubble jet?
No, but you'll find out how military technology goes civilian on my new series.
Tactical to Practical with Hunter Ellis, Tuesday on the History Channel.
Tactical to practical. What, show titles have to rhyme now?
Don't worry, Gilbert's not in it.
Want a show car shine?
Oh yeah.
Use Meguiar's Gold Class Car Wax.
Smooth as glass.
It's the most reflective car wax Meguiar's has ever made. And that's in over 100 years.
Get ready, world.
Not only does it give you an incredible shine, it's easy to use.
Looking good.
It's the best-selling premium car wax in America.
Thank you, Meguiar's.
Smart guys finish best. Meguiar's.
Top end of about one. Today's Speed Channel coverage of the 40th anniversary SCCA National Championship Runoffs is being brought to you by Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics. Welcome back, everybody, and they have Nastase started up. The question is, how healthy is it going to be when he gets on the track? He, too, running sticker tires. And, Calvin, these cars on this track, so many variables. They've got the ground effects downforce, the wings for balancing the car. It's just incredible. Tell us a little bit about these cars.
Well, they're such a well-balanced race car. Great braking ability, high downforce cars, sticky tires. I mean, one of the best cars that you ever want to drive around this particular racetrack. Open wheels, certainly, high wings, and about 250 horsepower. Probably going to see top speeds down the back straightaway, depending on the wing setup, about 150 miles an hour.
All right, we're also going to have some great onboard shots, courtesy of number 41, Stephen Williams. And under sponsor, he says Williams family. So we're going to be seeing some shots from him. Meanwhile, the field, there we go. Good shot. Look at that, right under the mirror over that left front tire as they are heading down now and onto that long back straight where they do the starts here at Mid-Ohio. Back of the pack just a little bit, so we hopefully will see some great traffic shots. And boy, the front 4 or 5 rows look good. A couple of them locking up.
Look at Largo hanging back.
Yeah, he was trying to snooker Clayton. We may get a wave off, Cal.
Yeah.
No start, and that was a great call by the starter.
Well, the problem what you have, your big pack at the front there, Greg, and then guys at the back of the field screaming down there, and they're going to be a big mismatch in speed. Brian Tell.
Well, they just got Nastase's car restarted. They pulled the bodywork off the back of it in the engine compartment, and all the mechanic did was wiggle some wires around. Must be a loose connection. Well, it's refired now, and it may run out of pit lane. The question is, after it gets punished on this racetrack over the bumps and through the corners, how long will that loose connection stay connected?
Yeah, good point. As he goes out, he's fortunate because he will not go down a lap. He's going to be the better part of a lap back. But with the yellow, he's able to get out and maybe at least get to the back of the pack. And he had a pretty good qualifying effort in 7th.
Yeah, he's certainly running strong this weekend. He's on sticker tires. They're going to try and get some temperature in here. We've got pretty good conditions now. Obviously, the hurricane came through last night here, left some wet weather this morning. But nice track conditions, nice and cool. Should be ideal, really, for these type of race cars.
Let's check in one more time with John Bizignano.
Well, actually, Calvin, I got a ride around the track with an SCCA official just before the start of this race, and I could not find any wet pavement whatsoever. You got to be careful. On the grass, it's very slick. If you get a tire off there, you're going to rotate that outside tire. If you come back on, you could be an instant spin. So they've got to stay on the track, but the line on the track is perfectly dry, what I saw.
All right, and keep in mind, this lap will count as we are under essentially a full car's caution because of the wave-off. The lap will count, and looking forward to getting this one underway. And obviously, our last couple of champions are not here. Mike Biancardi's not here. Larry Connor won 2 in a row, and Brian French are not here. This is as opened up as this battle has been for a long time.
And Keith Lively has certainly knocked on the door enough times. Finished 4th here last year. Runner-up finished Larry Connor here in 2001, so it's his time. But the man there, Renee Clayton, the young man in that patchwork quilt of a race car right now, having had a big crash in turn 9 earlier in the week. He's certainly a youngster looking to be hungry and get that first championship under his belt.
Obviously, the stewards asked the corner workers in the keyhole to slow the front down to let the field close up, and it worked. We are green. Lap 2 now underway.
Clayton to the lead immediately. Bit of a lazy start for Keith Lively. He's dropped positions very quickly in the early going here.
And maybe he was trying to lay back again, but they say if it goes green, you go, no matter. And boy, Clayton just jumped on it.
And Lively's already down to 3rd, maybe 4th by the time we get through the S's here. Here's a great onboard shot here as we come down through turns 5 and 6 downhill. Going down a gear right now, probably staying the same gear once it dries out here and we get some tire temperature. Really difficult here. You get light up there over the brow in turn 8, and there he gets past on the outside.
That looked like Nastasi, too. Boy, if that's the case, what a great start Nastasi had from the back.
Zober around the outside as well as he went into turn 9 as well, I believe. So yeah. Lively did not get the start he was looking for. Dropped all the way back to 4th, I believe. And there's Dan Selznick. He's done some pro racing this year in the Room Store car, and he's got a great team behind him. Polestar with Jim Griffith looking after the car this weekend. They had Alex Barron in here last week doing some testing, so they have a good setup underneath him.
There's a good look at Keith Lively, and boy, he really wanted to be able to stay up front and get a run for the gold. He's been close. I think one of the stories of the race is the guy in 2nd right here. And there's Nastasi. I believe that's Nastasi. Yes, indeed. And Brian Till, you called it. That whatever it was they got to connect isn't connected anymore.
And he's not connected to the race car now. There we see Tom getting out, disconnecting the steering wheel. I'm not sure what part of the racetrack that is. Hopefully it won't cause full course yellow, and he's got it off in a safe spot. But there you see the man up front, the youngster, Rennie Clayton. They say he's fast and furious. He has a tendency to throw it off now and again, as he did on Monday, I believe it was. But he ran laps in the 1:18.2 range, and pole was a 1:19.3. So in practice, he's been a lot faster than the pole time of Keith Lively.
Well, keep in mind, this year was his first ever visit, as you see where Nastasi is, his first ever visit to Road America, and he crushed the field with just a stunning run. So he has got the gift, they say, of raw speed. You hone that a little bit with some experience in racecraft. They say he's going to be the real deal. I was going to say the guy in 2nd, I think, is a great story. Ben Beasley, nobody can question Ben's ability. 4 CSR championships, and his running down Muka last year in the CSR class was just the stuff of legend. But this is very much a new program, a new effort, and one that is, compared to your standard Atlantic car, very much unproven, and he's flying.
He really is, up in 2nd spot. I made a mistake earlier calling it Toyota Atlantic, come from the Pro Series, of course. We have some of those cars in the field, but we have Mazda-powered cars as well. Beasley running in 2nd. We've got Muka, he's certainly running the Mazda car as well. So, variety of power plants, all pretty equal, it seems, when we look at them run down the straightaway. But there's Renee Clayton. He's got Arnie Loining power. He's made a lot of Formula 4 champions, now looking for an Atlantic champion here today.
And he's got a good one right there. And Thomas Kazman's in the pits as well.
Of all the rotten luck, damned to spend eternity pushing a boulder up a hill. Oh, it's enough to send a bloke mad. What? Hello? Oh, now I'm hearing voices.
Sisyphus, you've hit rock bottom. What you need is Red Bull, stimulation for body and mind. So, Sisyphus, feeling a little bolder?
You bet. Suddenly eternity isn't long enough. Way, Red Bull gives you wings.
Oh, Sisyphus.
I moved to Earthlink because I only want the internet that's good for my kids.
Because I like being the guy you can always reach.
Because an Earthlink address
makes a good impression.
I moved to Earthlink High Speed because my life moves fast.
Because access should come with choices.
Different people, different passions, different reasons for moving to Earthlink. Whether you choose dial-up, high-speed, or wireless, make the internet your internet. Call 1-800-747-6491. We're currently offering 6 months of dial-up service featuring Earthlink Accelerator at half price.
I moved to Earthlink because they hate internet pollution as much as I do.
I moved because they block pop-ups. And I'll take all the help I can get.
Because Spam Blocker keeps my inbox neat and clean.
Speed, security, control. Your reasons are your own. Call, go online, or visit these retailers and get 6 months of dial-up service featuring Earthlink Accelerator at half price. Move to Earthlink. It revolves around you.
Rennie Clayton is the perfect example of the cooperation between SCCA teams to make everyone as fast as possible here at Mid-Ohio. Rennie, a couple days ago, only one corner on this car. What's happened since then?
We've got parts from about 4 or 5 different teams on this car, and essentially we've pretty much worked for about 48 hours straight to get it back together.
I guess there's some 300 man-hours in the last 30 hours, and the car looks rough. What about your confidence in it?
I've got all the confidence in the team. Yesterday we got out real quick, but I've got all the confidence in the team that we're going to be able to get out there and have a good car underneath me.
You got to give him a good race after that effort.
I'm going to give it my best shot.
His best shot is a very good shot, but I'll tell you what, the look of that car is not your average pretty race car.
It really isn't. Apparently the scene of that wreck earlier in the week was like an explosion. It was like an aircraft had landed down there and had a big one, and looks like the old Benetton colours when Michael Schumacher won some races for Benetton F1 team many years ago. But let's go down to the pits with Biz.
Car number 4, Tony Kazmits, who qualified 8th, only circulated around the track twice, and there was an electrical problem. They took the back end of the car off the engine cover, and they reconnected 2 different wires that were just drifting around. So that was a very disappointing start for Tony, but right now the misfire that he came in with is gone. Hopefully they'll have him out of here in a few seconds.
Well, Tonus is really quick. He's a Formula Continental champion here. He won back in the year 2000. There's a car stop, number 2.
Richard Zorber.
He made that move earlier in the race around the outside on the first lap in turn 9, but his day looks like it's done. But
Signal right there for the driver, or the worker. His driver's fine, but he needs to be towed in, so it's a simple matter. Doesn't have to get record in or anything like that.
I thought Kazmits would really be a factor, certainly overnight with the rain. He's dynamite in the wet, so he's got Uwe Olsen, who's engineering that car and preparing it for him, so that's a real surprise to see it in pit lane, and a big disappointment to that team who have won in many championships over the years.
They just have not been able to sort through that electrical problem at all. But that doesn't mean we don't have some awesome battling going on out there. Going back in the pack a little bit, that's Tom Dooley in 15th. And he has got some serious company behind him in the form of Carl Antilla and Stephen Ott, 17 and 69 respectively. 08 is John Dole as well. These guys really scrapping.
Well, Stephen Ott is in fact running that new Van Diemen, that Formula Sports car, which can be changed between a couple of different categories. But Tom Dooley used to own the Antigua Sportswear Company. I'm not sure if he's still involved with that, but he resides out in Arizona. I think he's from Scottsdale, and gentleman racer, but does a great job, really has a passion for motorsports.
Right here's John Dole out of Huntington, New York. Actually a late entry to the runoffs, but he had a win in his Northeastern Division Championship chase, and he's going after him right now.
And there you see, you really have to carry a lot of speed. So your car off to the left there as they went through turn 4 there, so he got a little wide, and John Dole currently 14th, dropped back a little bit from his starting position, but then you see that car of David Vandenberg, I think it is, and what a story he is. That car is definitely different. You see the roll cage over the top. We did a story on him a couple of years ago, and that's a great battle for 12. He just drives the wheels off that thing.
Oh, he does. It is ancient. That's an old Rolk RT4, which is just one of the very first of the ground effects Atlantic chassis, and the guy that he's going after is the number 41, our camera car, Stephen Williams. But Vandenberg, he said, I'm used to sedans. When I decided to go open wheel racing, he said, I put that roll cage on there just to make me feel comfortable. And he goes, I do, but he just drives that thing deep in, aggressive on the throttle, really goes after it. The problem is that right now you got the number 16 of Rennie Clayton, and you may have a little bit of a wing loosening up on the back of that car. We'll be following that. Here's your top 5.
On the job site, I have to take on all the tough jobs and get them done right.
So I use more than a tool. I use the RotoZip spiral saw system. Cuts plywood, cuts drywall, cuts countertops, tile, almost anything, with quick, clean cuts every time. And with the all-new features, the original RotoZip just got tougher. RotoZip, tough enough to tackle any job.
So this Navy pilot guy says to me, have you noticed how much military technology becomes stuff we use every day? And I say, like what? Like the B-52 blender? The George Patton grill? The AK-47 bubble jet?
No, but you'll find out how military technology goes civilian on my new series.
Tactical to Practical with Hunter Ellis. Tuesday on the History Channel.
Tactical to practical. What, show titles have to rhyme now?
Don't worry, Gilbert's not in it.
Denny's Meat Lovers Breakfast has it all. Sizzling bacon, savory link sausage, and a slice of honey ham. Served up with eggs, hash browns, and fluffy buttermilk pancakes. All for just $4.99. So give it a try. Denny's, a good place to sit and eat.
How to speak Australian. Devotion. Beer. Foster's Australian for beer.
1993, Prost, Senna. Then they were champions. Today they are legends. Formula One decade. The 93 Belgian Grand Prix. Tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
This year we celebrate the 40th anniversary of SCCA's national championships, the Valvoline Runoffs, and they are underway at Mid-Ohio, the beautiful sports car course, the fastest of all classes around this undulating circuit is Formula Atlantic, and the championship chase is on. And here's the guy who's leading. He was picked to win it. People feel that would be the case. After a huge wreck in testing, it was sort of suspect, but boy, they've got that car dialed right back in, and he's opening up the margin by half a second a lap. Anyway, Cal.
But look at that rear wing there, Greg. You can see it there, and it's a little lower on the left side as we look at it head on, and you know, I'm not sure whether that's from the earlier crash in the week or whether he has a problem there.
All right, there's number 55, once again, Tom Dooley, and he has dropped back a spot, actually a couple of spots, as he now sits back in the order. And you've got John Dole, Bernie Saunier as well in this mix, and it is a great scrap. And coming up to join them, that white car with the orange and blue trim is Bernie Saunier.
Well, he's always fast here. He's just missed out on the podium for 2 years, 2000, 2001. He had a fourth-place finish and didn't really qualify where we expected him back in 17th, but he's in the thick of the battle right now.
Ooh, and Dole, John Dole moving in out of the slipstream, trying to get by Dooley, and Dooley covers.
He's got a bit more straightaway speed. I'm not sure if he's running a little less downforce or whether his motor's just a little stronger there on the top end, but he takes the wider line through there, and now Dole goes to the outside. Great move.
That was beautiful, and that's going to end clean, and he picks the spot up. So Dole now moves into 13th. And Dooley being forced offline just a little bit. Saunier closed up quite a bit.
He has, and through this corner they're going to be using third gear typically. 5-speed box in these cars, and then you see Saunier slipping to the inside. I'm not sure Dooley knew he was there. You don't expect to move on the right there as you set up for turn 11, and this is almost flat out in one of these Atlantic cars. A little more difficult than turn 1, but the top speed through there is almost the same.
Bend left onto the main pit straight here. And Saunier moves over. Now you'll notice every once in a while it looks like maybe a little smoke coming off the cars. Actually, there's a low spot on that front straight. With all the rain we had, we got a little bit of water that just continues to just puddle there. No big deal. Here's our battle for third. That's Keith Lively, the blue car on the right, and Dan Selznick, who's having a superb race here. No, that's a pass. That's Lively, got by Beasley. I thought we were looking at the battle for third, and it's in fact second and third. So Lively has in fact come alive here. Here it is.
Wow, did he stick that deep? Well, he was already around him. He'd already passed him, actually. I mean, Lively was in front at that point, and of course, earlier in the going, he was coming from a fourth place after running through turn 1. So he's making a move through the pack. Beasley tried to get him back, but Lively shut the door there. It was pretty close quarters there for a moment, nearly turned each other around.
They had wheels interlocked. The left front of Beasley's car inside the two rights. That'll spook you a little bit. Tonis Kazmits, they have him back out. Now he's way down the order. But it'll be interesting to see if that car is healthy. This is at least an opportunity for Tonis to throw in some quick laps. Meanwhile, here comes Lively. And he's got to be thinking, not again. I'm second, and there's a guy out front that I'm really not able to run with. There's the problem for Tonis. Still does not have full power in that car.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was a power issue or whether he just respected the leaders there coming through, but either way, he didn't have it at the end of the straightaway, and it'll be a big disappointment for this young man. He is super fast. He's been running in the Ford 2000 series again this year, winning races as normal, and there we see the leader. So Clayton going over the top of the crest of the hill there in turn 9, coming up to that fast left-hander, almost wide open.
We hop on board with Stephen Williams. Clayton, the fastest lap of the race by almost a second.
Drive a sports car like no other. The all-new Mazda RX-8.
Why do I get accessories at Pep Boys? Check this out. I put in a big bore stainless exhaust, aluminum wing, full body kit, carbon fiber hood, APC Euro tails, APC LED mirrors, nitrous express. They have everything to hook up my ride.
We have thousands of the latest accessories.
Available online or at more than 600 locations nationwide.
And we install everything we sell.
Pep Boys, we're car people.
The Simpsons invade England, and the mother country will never be the same.
Feels so weird flipping people off with my right hand. Ooh, I'm gonna be sore tomorrow.
The Simpsons, all new, part of a full hour this week on Fox.
Drivers in the SCCA will go through almost anything to make it through the runoffs. And Keith Lively, even though you look kind of relaxed with your leg up right now, I know you went through a lot to get here.
Well, it was quite an effort to get here. Actually, about 6 weeks ago, we had a crash in the morning warm-up at Laguna Seca, and I broke my left leg, which created two problems. One was the physical impairment, but also I didn't have enough starts to qualify for the runoffs. So we had to change our plans, come back early, run in the national race here at Mid-Ohio 4 weeks after the break, just so we could get into the big show.
Man, and this racetrack is a physical racetrack, and best of luck to you. I would say what they say in the movie business, which is break a leg, but it's probably not the thing to say to him right now.
I've wanted to do that to Brian Till for a long time.
So you're the guy that's throwing money at Keith to make that moment happen.
Speaking of throwing things, I think Brian Till has thrown a few steering wheels around this place at times, but that's another story.
That's another story, but someday a feature on that would be brilliant. Meanwhile, Keith Lively, and if you remember a couple of years ago, Larry Connor was on his way to a win in the Atlantic in this race, and a wheel started to come off the locating pegs, and Lively was the guy was coming after him in a huge hurry, and he wants it bad right now. But the guy who's up front is this gentleman, Rennie Clayton, and Brian Till is over there now.
Well, I'm here with Stan Clayton and Dave Rich. Dave, you're the crew chief. I know you guys worked all weekend long to get this car back together, but they're talking about the rear wing, and they're seeing something amiss there. Has he said anything to you?
No, he hasn't said anything yet, Brian. Yeah, we had a huge off in practice earlier this week. Really tore the car bad. We worked all week long on it, trying to put it back together again. A lot of long hours. We think that the wing will hold together. It's a bunch of pieces that we borrowed from a bunch of different teams trying to put this car together, and hopefully it'll hold and last the race.
Man, that's an important piece, Calvin, as you're very well aware. These cars are so aerodynamic, you lose that rear wing, especially at the wrong place, right in the middle of the corner. The downforce goes away, and so does all your grip. That's a big gamble, but obviously doing a good job with that car right now.
I tell you, Brian, we've got 9 more laps to go. I'm not sure that thing is going to hang on there. We saw it happen earlier today in the C Sports Racer race. The leader there, Muko, lost his rear wing with a lap to go, and similar thing could happen here and cost him a championship. Is definitely dropping down further on the left side of the car, and it's really starting to wobble around, Greg.
And one of the bigger issues, too, is Rennie Clayton at his last lap, a 1:21.7. Lively just turned the fastest lap of the race at a 1:20.4. We're on board with Stephen Williams, and Williams had the proverbial moment here just a couple of moments ago. Check this one out.
Whoa, that's a big one. We talked about the cars getting lively there on the opening lap with cold tires. He lost it there when his tire temp was there. I think he was a little offline, maybe going through some lap traffic or someone coming around him. But either way, and then a little over-exuberant getting it back on. Lucky he didn't get in someone's way.
Watch it from the onboard.
Let's see his line here. Definitely gets light. Coming there into 7. He's too wide to the right. And then as he starts to transition back to the right-hand side there for turn 8, he loops it around and got lucky to get away with it.
Now, if we keep it rolling, let's see, because there's a moment right here. Look at the car. Boom.
Stalls it. Hopefully he got it refired and he's back underway.
He did. So he is able to continue right now, but yeesh, that was very, very close. Back on board here as he's working his way. They call this Thunder Valley. And then here's the very quick left-hander, leads you up into, I think, one of the trickiest corners in motorsports, the carousel. Clayton leads, but Lively is coming on.
So this Navy pilot guy says to me, have you noticed how much military technology becomes stuff we use every day? And I say, like what? Like the B-52 blender? The George Patton grill? The AK-47 bubble jet?
No, but you'll find out how military technology goes civilian on my new series.
Tactical to Practical with Hunter Ellis. Tuesday on the History Channel.
Tactical to Practical? What, show titles have to rhyme now?
Don't worry, Gilbert's not in it.
Speed Channel presents the All-American Thanksgiving Marathon. 2 days of Hemis, Hogs, Hot Rods, and Honeys. Thursday, American Muscle Car. Friday, Michelle Smith and American Thunder. Begins next Thursday, 10 Eastern, only on Speed.
The entertainment and refreshment just keeps on coming, and coming, and coming. Because now when you order Showtime Unlimited, you'll get a year's supply of Pepsi free. So help yourself to the best in premium television anytime and the joy of Pepsi for 12 refreshing months. Oh, and if you order now, you'll have a chance to win a ski vacation to a top-ranked North American resort. But this deal won't last forever, so order today.
Your dad got some serious hops.
Got your game face on? Watch Kevin Garnett and all your favorite players with NBA League Pass from DirecTV.
We are back, and the battle is well and truly afoot. There's Rennie Clayton, the leader. Look at that rear wing. It is canted over very, very badly. And the margin that was some 5 seconds not long ago is collapsing like the wing because Keith Lively is throwing in some brutally fast laps. He has the fastest lap of the race at a 1:20.3, and Clayton's last lap, a 1:23. There's Clayton, and watch, Lively is the blue car, and he has made the pass on the lap traffic, and he is coming after him big time. And Brian Till, you were talking a little bit earlier about Rennie Clayton's situation with the wing. Lively's aware of it, and he has got it ramped up.
Well, Kevin Heath is the crew chief for Keith Lively. Not the start that you guys wanted, I know, but he seems to be clawing his way back.
Well, we had to rebuild the car last night. Keith had a massive shunt yesterday, and in the beginning, I think he was a little unsure of the car. Seemed to be getting into it. The tires are getting warm, and so it's going to get better from here onwards.
I'm sure that you guys have noticed Rennie Clayton's rear wing seems to be collapsing. Are you passing that information along to Keith?
Absolutely. You know, duct tape doesn't hold everything.
Well, they're going to use every advantage they can. One of those advantages, guys, down here is spelled Motorola.
Well, Kevin Heath, you notice the accent there. He actually used to work on a guy called Wayne Taylor, who's won sports car championships, very popular here in the States. He used to be his mechanic. But for Keith Lively, if he does get on the tail of Renee Clayton, he needs to make it stick early. Because remember, a couple of years ago, we talked about it. We had Larry Connor, his car, ailing in the final moments, and Keith Lively didn't pounce. He was really catching him on the final lap. But I think if he gets close, even with 2 or 3 laps to go, if there's an opening, he needs to go for it.
I thought he sounded a bit South African.
Yeah, he's not from around here, Greg.
No, not from these parts. I'll tell you, Clayton has upped the ante a little bit, though. He just turned a lap at a 120.9. Still not as fast as Lively's been lapping, but Clayton has upped it a little bit. He may have just eased off, trying to keep that wing intact a little bit, but he's hurting.
Yeah, but the fact he's now running back under the 21 barrier there is really an indication that he does still have a decent race car. I mean, that wing at that angle is still going to develop downforce. Obviously, if it falls off and he loses the rear element, that's going to be a big factor. But let's see what happens here. There's Williams off the road again.
Camera car, and he's pulled off, and it looks like he's parking. Here's what happened.
Turn 1, gets out wide, hits the curb, and goes airborne, goes sailing. Whoa, look at that! Like a dune buggy.
Well, that will damage the underside of these very sensitive cars. And crosses the chicane that's not used anymore. It just stops it. But he gave us some great looks while he was running.
He did. I think we saw Dario Franchitti do that here a couple of years ago in the Champ Car race, and looks pretty smooth.
He didn't get that kind of air, though.
No, I don't think he did. That was pretty impressive. That was about 45 degrees there.
All right, less than 5 laps to go in this one, so we're closing in on it. That's been a busy corner worker. Clayton's last lap, again, a 120.9. And Lively at Lively just now set fastest lap of the race at a 120.310.
A 3.5 second lead right now, and we've got 5 laps to go. So at this pace, he's picking up about half a second a lap. It's going to be really tight as we get down to the final laps.
Well, you have to admit, in this scenario, with the car coming apart, fearlessness is what's up.
What do you think? It's perfect. That's exactly what I want.
What?
Except bigger.
What do you mean bigger?
Something really pops the eye. Maybe rubies alternating with the sapphires. More stones. Pave diamonds all the way around.
Life's little expenses. Another good reason to keep your car around. That's why at 75,000 miles, switch to Valvoline's Max Life. Its added ingredients help prevent wear on critical parts.
Hey, this is nothing, guys. For the honeymoon?
Oh. At 75,000, time to switch to Max Life.
They seem just like us.
Have you tried not being a mutant?
But they're very different.
Hang on!
This Tuesday.
Drop the knives.
I can't. On the biggest DVD of the year.
Oh, yeah.
She's good.
You have no idea.
What exactly are you, Professor of? Art. X2 on DVD this Tuesday.
Where does reality end and pure vision begin? A Pioneer plasma display can deliver more than 1 billion colors, taking high-definition television to a whole new level. Pure vision. Only from Pioneer.
How to speak Australian. Conservationist. Beer. Foster's Australian for beer.
1993, Prost, Senna. Then they were champions. Today they are legends. Formula One decade. The 93 Belgian Grand Prix. Tonight, 10 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on Speed.
The SCCA is always looking for ways to get their members more involved with racing. One of the best ways to do that is to save money, make things more cost effective. And so they got together when they were looking for an entry into the Formula Car class. They got together with Van Diemen and came up with what they call Formula SCCA. A lot of the cost savings in this car come from the suppliers that supply the parts for it. Hoosier Tire has come up with a tire that competitors can run for 3 weekends in a row, and that saves immensely on tire bills. Mazda has produced an engine very unstressed that produces a very reliable 170 horsepower, capable of producing speeds close to 150 miles an hour. Right now it runs in the Formula Atlantic class, but once there are enough out there, it'll run in a class of its own, Formula SCCA. For $27,500, you can have one of these. The nice thing about it is you can run it as an Atlantic car one day, put the optional body panels on, and run it as a C Sports racer the next.
And that is something that SCCA and SCCA Enterprises have been very good at, and there is Steve and I. So it's not just a concept. It has been applied, and it is a real-world application, and he's going pretty good.
He really is. And Van Diemen, of course, been so successful in the junior formula over the years. I ran their cars for a number of years back in the early 80s and Ford 2000. And here you see, I think he's got a faster car coming up behind him, gives him the point by. But what value to be able to run that sort of car for under $30,000? That's amazing.
Oh, it's phenomenal, and have options as well as to what class you're going to run. Brian?
Well, the other thing that you really need to keep in mind, too, is, the car is not that competitive right now in Formula Atlantic. But the thing you got to keep note of is once there are enough of these cars out there, they will run in their own class, Formula SCCA. So what you're seeing, just the fact that it can compete as well as it is right now, is pretty impressive. And when they get a bunch of them out there, the racing, man, it should be great. And like you said, Calvin, for under 30 grand, hey, sign me up.
Yeah, really, I'll take one too.
It's the battle for sixth.
As Jacek, I mean, he came so close to a gold medal earlier today in C Sports race, right down the final corner, but he's having a good run here in sixth position in a good battle.
That's number 34 of Tony Lanuski.
And they let you handle that.
I heard the pause. I figured, he's going to make me fall on the sword. But they come in here, and this is a great scrap, as you said, for the sixth spot. And getting back to what Brian was saying about that SCCA Enterprises and the Formula SCCA, SCCA had this idea once before. It was called Spec Racer. And they ended up with 50-car fields and almost 1,000 of them being running around the country.
The scary part is develop the talents of Dorsey Schrader, and we don't need another Dorsey around.
Well, and look where it took him. Oh, pretty well, actually. Rennie Clayton is coming out just about a little over 2 laps to go, and he's still out front.
So this Navy pilot guy says to me, have you noticed how much military technology becomes stuff we use every day? And I say, like what? Like the B-52 blender? The George Patton grill? The AK-47 bubble jet?
No, but you'll find out how military technology goes civilian on my new series.
Tactical to Practical with Hunter Ellis, Tuesday on the History Channel.
Tactical to practical. What, show titles have to rhyme now?
Don't worry, Gilbert's not in it.
What Petty, Kinzer, DeFerrin, Coulthard, Gordon, Montoya, Earnhardt, and Carmichael have in common is that they all star in Wind Tunnel, The Interviews. A look back at a great season debuting at 9 o'clock Eastern Time on Monday night. Be there.
What do you want from primetime TV? I want shows that inspire me. I want real-life heroes. Real news and advice. I want to see miracles. Know how to take care of my kids. I want shows that make me feel good, feel hope. I want the Health Network. Don't you?
Hello, I'm Chris Isaac.
And I'm Kenny Dale Johnson from the Showtime original series, The Chris Isaac Show. DirecTV offers great choices for what you want to watch, like Showtime Unlimited. Enjoy breakthrough original series and movies, knockout championship boxing, plus Hollywood hits no one else has.
The best variety on TV. Showtime.
Part of Showtime Unlimited. Added for $12 or less per month. Call 1-800-DIRECTV to order now.
Welcome back to Mid-Ohio. The Formula Atlantic National Championship chase is winding down, but Rennie Clayton is winding it up. And what I was getting to a little bit earlier is sometimes when you got a wounded car, you want a guy with experience who can nurse it along. But in this situation, you want a guy with car control who's fearless, because you've literally right now just got to throw that thing around.
Wing,
oh, it is.
Look at that wing. That is definitely getting worse as these laps wind down here, and he gets a little wide there, going through the fast right-hander at the end of the straightaway. That's a pretty fast corner. He's dirt tracking it a little bit there, up over the crest of the hill. He just needs to keep it clean because Lively is coming. He seems to have about half a second typically per lap on Renee here, and there you see he's run a little wider line. That gets you in a better track position for the entry for 9. Oh, and he spins it!
There you go, boom! Oh, and he was going after him, though. It's gone away once again for Keith Lively. Look at that. He is angry and upset, but there's no question he was pushing. He knew he had to up the ante a little bit more, and it just was too much.
He came in there, Greg. The line looked perfect, and then he must have just gone the power a little too early, and maybe the track is still damp there offline, and just turned it around, and that's an unforgiving corner there. You're going to hit the tires.
Especially when you hook across like that. Now watch it again here, Calvin.
See the car still stationary. Here comes the replay. Down into 9. Downshifter's done. Back on the power, and it starts to get wide. He gets off that concrete patch, and then he's on the power and just out wide there. Little greasy still. Turns it around. Big damage to the rear end of that race car. But most importantly for Keith Lively, his hopes are over for a gold medal this year.
So all the concern about the leader's wing, and it was the sight of that leader's wing that maybe pushed Lively just a little bit too far.
Yeah, I mean, he was getting anxious. He could see that he was pulling that gap in on Renee Clayton, and his leg looks healthy now. He hopped over those tires okay, but maybe just the adrenaline is flowing. He realized he was on the verge of a national championship.
Well, I almost wonder, you were talking about the line that he ran to give himself a little bit more speed in as we watched Clayton come through. If maybe he wasn't going through there, maybe just a smidge quicker than he ever had, and just misjudged, like you said, getting on the throttle.
Well, we're saying these track conditions are perfect, but the fact of the matter is we had a heavy rain last night. The track is still what we call a little green. It doesn't have a lot of rubber down, and when you start to push on an area of the racetrack you haven't been before, you can sometimes get caught up. He was committed, he was going for it, and that's what it's all about. There's no tomorrow here at the runoffs, and he'll walk away from here disappointed, but he gave all he had.
And Clayton now on his last lap. He's got to have that just hang on one more time. You guys realize they blew it. We're going 21 laps. And Clayton through the keyhole. And he's...
We're not sure. I see a checkered flag. I'm not sure if they missed the leader
I
or
think
whether
they missed him, because our monitor also said 20 when he came by. So, and it is the second place. Dan Selznick came up and on the last
got
lap.
around Beasley.
Yeah.
Something happened there to Beasley because he had a nice gab over Dan, but still Beasley walks away from the runoffs with another medal in his pocket. He was looking for a gold. He takes the bronze, but what a performance by Dan Selznick. That's something else coming through. That Polestar team did the work for him, put a good car underneath him, and as I mentioned earlier, Alex Barron did some testing and gave him the setup, and Dan made it happen today. That's a tremendous performance by Dan.
Yeah, one lead change in the race, obviously. 66 Lively was there for a moment, and then Clayton took it, and that was it. But the margin of victory officially was 22.1 seconds for Clayton, but that wasn't the real story. Up until the start of that last lap, that was coming down, was at about a second, and Lively was coming after him. But Clayton, look at that, the exuberance. And Calvin, I mean, you've spent a lot of time in pro racing situations and behind the wheel. You've won here on the year that you won the Pro Atlantic Championship, but to have a huge shunt early and then come back and win, that's got to be a tremendous feeling, not just for you, but that means the crew was so involved, more so maybe than ever.
Well, that's what it's all about at the runoffs. I mean, these are not professional race teams. Typically, you're really having your friends, family sometimes, and certainly race teams as well, trying to pick up the pieces, put it all back together. He didn't show the speed again that he had last weekend in testing, but he had enough to put it on the front row, and then just a tremendous performance. He got the jump at the start, took off, then he had to deal with the rear wing. I'm sure he was feeling that in the race car. He didn't have the same balance in the car that he had in the early laps, but just a tremendous performance by this young man, and maybe we'll see him in the pro racing ranks. He certainly has the speeds.
Let's check in with John Bizignano.
Well, right now we have some very happy crew people down here with the winner of this race. We talked to you earlier. It was worth the work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we worked really hard. It was a lot of long nights. We were up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and back up at 6 o'clock. But I wouldn't trade any of that for this moment right now.
Well, David Rich, congratulations. Your crew has been doing a fantastic job. Hundreds of hours in on the car.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, we were bumming parts off other teams and making stuff. And, I mean, there was times we didn't think we were going to be able to do it. Other people didn't think we were going to be able to do it. But we persevered, and we stuck by our guns, and we pulled it off.
Stan Clayton, your feelings right now?
Well, I'm just ecstatic. This is exactly what we set out to do after we got third place last year. I know Rennie wants to move on to a better formula, perhaps in Europe, and this is what he needed as a crowning touch to launch his career from here, and we're just ecstatic.
Congratulations, Brian Till.
Well, Sid Crane is the crew chief for Dan Selznick, and I know that they worked hard all weekend long, and you had to like what you saw taking place in front of you.
Yeah, Dan did a great job. Actually, the last 2 weeks he's worked really hard. He's worked hard all year. He's only been driving for 5 years now, and so he really put it all together this year and had a great finish, drove a real consistent race today.
And the rear wing of Rennie Clayton, I know you guys had to be looking at it really close, especially after Lively went away.
Yeah, we just didn't have enough time. Kept hoping for it to loosen up a little bit more, but maybe next year.
Still a great result for these guys, and for Dan Selznick, I know he's happy. Certainly Sid Crane and the rest of this crew is.
Well, and Brian, he for only driving 5 years to be not only racing Atlantic in the runoff, but to have won his division in Southern Pacific with a couple of wins. Wow, what a great drive he put in here, no question. There is Rennie Clayton. We'll be back to talk to him when we come back.
Dear Santa, thank you for my new Honda CRF 50F. Now, when my family goes out riding, I can go too. Last weekend, I even met Ricky Carmichael. It was cool. My dad says that riding can teach me lots of things, like responsibility and how to be a good sport.
This holiday season, start your kids out right with a 4-stroke CRF from Honda. Available now at your local dealer.
I never knew learning could be this much fun.
On the job site, I have to take on all the tough jobs and get them done right. So I use more than a tool. I use the RotoZip spiral saw system. Cuts plywood, cuts drywall, cuts countertops, tile, almost anything, with quick, clean cuts every time. And with the all-new features, the original RotoZip just got tougher. RotoZip, tough enough to tackle any job.
So this Navy pilot guy says to me, have you noticed how much military technology becomes stuff we use every day? And I say, like what? Like the B-52 blender? The George Patton grill? The AK-47 bubble jet?
No, but you'll find out how military technology goes civilian on my new series.
Tactical to Practical with Hunter Ellis. Tuesday on the History Channel.
Tactical to practical. What, show titles have to rhyme now?
Don't worry, Gilbert's not in it.
The world's greatest driver in the world's toughest races against the world's most ruthless villains. Speed Racer, now on Speed Channel.
Here comes Speed Racer. He's a demon on wheels. He's a demon and he's on...
Don't miss Speed Racer, exclusively on Speed Channel. Brought to you in part by Need for Speed Underground. Own the night.
Today's Speed Channel coverage of the 40th anniversary of SCCA's National Championship Runoffs is being brought to you by Valvoline. Valvoline, the #1 choice of top mechanics. It was an interesting race, and here is your top 5. Clayton, Selznick, Beasley. What a remarkable story for the bronze. Wilcox and Jacek Muka in the top 5. Well, we said it was interesting, and Biz is going to find out just how much.
Well, I'll tell you, they came so close to disaster here. This wing only had a couple laps left in it. You can see the rest of the body work up here also with some very loose seams here. Look down here. My gosh, all that downforce coming through this hole. That had to be a heck of a situation for you, Rennie. Congratulations on a championship. I told you had to perform after all that work, and you did it.
Absolutely, John, and I really have to thank everybody.
Here comes Dad with the medal.
We've got parts from about 4 different Atlantic teams on this car, and it has literally just been a complete overnight, week-long thrash without much sleep.
What about the drive itself?
I was just trying to push as hard as I could in the first half of the race. I felt the wing going down kind of midway through, and then the front tires started going away, so I was just kind of trying to nurse it from there. And I saw Keith Lively coming up. He was a lot quicker. So I knew it was going to be a fight right towards the end until I saw him spin off behind me.
Okay, you're looking in that rearview mirror. You see the wing getting worse and worse. You're going into corners at 130 miles an hour. What's in your head when you're doing that?
Turn the wheel and hope it stays on.
Congratulations on one of the best victories, certainly of your career.
Thank you very much, sir.
Absolutely no question. Look at the relief. just that big sigh. I think he realized that he was very, very fortunate that he had one dedicated crew behind him and that car held together. But there is no question, Calvin, this kid can drive.
Absolutely. Tremendous performance. A lot of pressure on this young man to be leading a national championship with a wounded car, not to make a mistake with a man coming on fast. You want to push the pedal a little bit louder, but he certainly had a bit of a gap there. Who knows whether Keith Lively would have caught him, but it would certainly been tight if Keith hadn't had the crash.
Absolutely. Keith, by the way, we'll show you full field results in just a little bit. He ended up very unfortunate and untelling 19th, but he did get fast lap of the race, so some consolation for him. But for a guy who's been close a couple of times and has a couple of medals, but not that shiny gold one, that's not enough, man. It hurts.
It really does. It's painful, but his leg's been in pain for the last couple of months, but Keith will come back. He realizes that he has the speed to win one of these gold medals, so hopefully we'll see him back next year, and it will happen.
Rennie's going to fire it up, and they've now given him the flag, and he'll put that helmet on and put the lap belt on, and then he will set out on one of the truly most honored of all traditions here at the Valvoline Runoffs, and that is the lap of honor as a national champion with the flag.
That's a special moment, but he is so lucky that David Hobbs isn't here, Greg, because David, with his eyesight, he normally calls the cars by colors. He'd have had problems with that car today.
He would have probably been calling it Schumacher because of that Benetton-ish kind of look. And there's number 23. Boy, I tell you, what a long day for Tom Nastasi. And as he's driving down into the pit lane here, he's probably thinking, oh, sure, it's running now.
Yeah, that's right. That is frustrating, not only for him but his crew as well. There is so much effort. They burn the midnight oil to be here, and then throughout the week, and then to have the car struggle, on the pre-grid and through the early laps. That's a tough break for that team.
Yep, perhaps one of the most fulfilling moments in a career here to win this and to win it through some adversity. But a guy who had a great drive is standing by with Brian Till.
Well, Dan Selznick certainly did have a great drive. The weather changed the whole weekend long. I know while we were here, we actually still have water in the lens of our camera, so we soften up the focus on your face a little bit. We apologize for that, but I don't think you're going to care after the drive today.
No, not at all. It was a great drive. It was a lot of fun, slippery track. The great thing was we had dry conditions as opposed to what we had this morning, so that made it a lot more easy to run. But it was a tough race, and I'm really glad to be in the position I am.
How green was the racetrack after all the rain we had?
From my perspective, real green, but there were guys who were going faster than I was, so obviously I didn't pick up the pace as good.
Well, we know you had a great race, and certainly you had some help, Keith Lively falling out in front of you, but was your crew keeping you apprised of what was happening to Rennie Clayton's rear wing?
No, I had no idea that Rennie was in trouble, and if I would have been in a position to press him, I'm sure we could have put him in a worse position, but he drove a great race, and congratulations to him.
Well, I know that you've run in a couple of pro races and stuff like this, and this silver medal has got to give you more fire. It'd be nice to see you back running some pro stuff, too.
That's the plan for next season.
Well, keep an eye on this guy. He'll be back, and it's like you said, sometimes it's better that the crew doesn't tell you things. He was running the pace he was comfortable with, guys.
Yeah, well, sometimes too much information is not necessarily a good thing. For Rennie Clayton, he had all the information he needed, the feel of the car, look in the mirror, and that wing moving around. And I tell you, fearlessness, bravado, and obviously an awful lot of talent. Here is the full field rundown. There's Clayton, Selznick, Beasley with the bronze, then Wilcox, Muka, then Laniuski, Opperman, Koyman, Ashen Yelk, and those two teammates, by the way. And then rounding out the top 10, John Doyle, who I mentioned was a late entry in the event here. And there's Bill Goldkind having a good run, but Steve Ott, once again, running that car, and as Brian Till mentioned, not quite on the pace yet of the others, but nonetheless still. But let's go back and show you what was unquestionably, at least certainly in this race, one of the true moments. Roller coaster ride. You notice the accent there.
Look at that. Still on the gas. That's a racer for you. On the power hard.
Well, why lift? You're either going to go slow, or you're going to brake, or you're going to get back on the track. So he parked it. He found out he had a problem, and that was the end of the day for our onboard camera. But boy, he gave us some spectacular shots. Let's head back down to the pits. Third place, the bronze medal.
Well, we're used to seeing Ben Beasley stand down here. We're used to seeing this yellow car, but I can see the wheels on this one.
Yeah, it's a formula car. The sports racers we've had a lot of success with, and we just decided to try something a little more competitive and try our hand in the Atlantic class. And for first year, we're pretty happy. You know, we lost second and third gear out there, but the car stayed together. The Cometic gasket, Redline Oil, Hoosier, Mazda Motorsports number 47 held in there good for me.
Notice you guys had a little bit of a gear problem?
Oh, yeah. About midway on, I just could not find second and third gear, and it just killed me.
You know, that'll always hurt you down these long straightaways at Mid-Ohio. You got to get out of the corners, guys.
Yeah, need a little launch. And there is Keith Lively. Look at the leg braced up. And I'm guessing, look at that face. He's feeling it. He's upset. But fast lap, and he knows that he probably could have done it. And I don't know how much consolation that is, but you got to take it. SpeedTV.com online. All your motorsports information for Calvin Fish. For Brian Tiller, for John Bizignano, thanks for joining us here on Speed Channel. There is your Formula Atlantic National Champion.
Speed Channel.
Back. Clayton, the drop of the green, he took a lead from the outside pole, leaving the rest of the field in his wake. Building an extraordinary lead from the start was really incredible, as just 4 days prior, he all but destroyed his car in a practice session. As Clayton began to build a 20-second lead, other drivers dropped out, including Keith Lively, Clayton's only real competition, who spun his pole sitting wrong while running second. Rennie Clayton rewarded his hard-working crew by winning his first Formula Atlantic Championship, and combined with the Central Division title and his win at the Chicago Region June Sprints, he got the coveted Triple Crown. Atlantic is next on Speed. Without question, at SCCA's National Championships, Formula Atlantic is the fastest class. These are ground effects Formula missiles. But this is relatively old technology, an older Swift chassis, and that makes the young David Wilcox a bit of a hero. He's been blindingly quick in his car here this week, and in his division, Midwest, he's put together a string of wins. He was 4th here last year. He'd like the podium, better still the top of it. But he's got to deal with Keith Lively, who last year here set a new track record on his way to pole. He also had pole in 01. He's had podiums, but never a win. Keith, too, would like to climb the top step of that podium. But for him to do that, Jim Trado, he's got to deal with a guy who runs south of Keith's SCCA border.
The Southern Pacific Division is loaded with talent, including Dan Selznick in Formula Atlantic. He's done nothing but pass 3 championships in a row in Formula Atlantic in the division. He has 4 wins, including Laguna Seca this year. His only trip to Mid-Ohio last year was to the runoffs, where he captured a silver. This year, nothing but gold will do for the furniture businessman. Now, to his right is Ben Beasley. He's been racing here since the 80s when he ran an AMA motorcycle race. Last year, in this very class, he ran a different car and had gearbox problems. To solve that, in late July, they decided to thrash and get this car ready. You can tell by the carbon fiber bodywork they haven't had time to paint it. He barely qualified for the runoffs. He was running second last year. He certainly wants to get a podium finish here in his home state.
For the 41st time, the moment has arrived to decide the national champions of the Sports Car Club of America. It's the 11th edition here at Mid-Ohio of the SCCA Runoffs, and today we will duel the fastest of all the machines. In the SCCA category, it is Formula Atlantic. Welcome to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, everybody. Lexington, Ohio, as it says, right in the heart of a beautiful, beautiful state. Great to have you all with us. My booth partner today, Jim Trado. Tell us a little bit about this track.
This racetrack is very challenging for this very quick open wheel division. The passing zones are here going into turn number 2. They'll carry a lot of speed into that corner. As they go down the back straightaway, it's all about setting up for turn 4, the primary passing zone for these guys as they make their way down through the S's. Turn number 9, here's another trouble spot. If your car's not perfectly balanced, it'll make it all the way through to the carousel. You'll have to catch yourself and not get passed by anybody else as they head back to turn 1.
Without a doubt, it is a very, very busy track. And for more on what's going to be unfolding, let's take a look a little bit on the Formula divisions here.
Well, these are single-seat open-wheel race cars. They're rated on performance potential, but really, if you think about it, they are really super fast. A number of rear wing configurations. Looking at the ground effects, they're superior to any other division here at the runoffs. A variety of engine and chassis as well. So we're not talking just Toyota engines. There's a lot more diversity in a very, very fast field.
Fast indeed. The track speeds here, the track record, exceptionally quick as well. And one of the big stories, of course, is always the guys that are up front. With more on that, let's check in with one of our pit reporters, Ken Stout.
Hey, that's right, guys. And Dan Cobb started his racing career in 2002 with a Formula Continental car that he campaigned for 2 years. But it was 1 year ago that he purchased this car while helping his brother Will Cobb, who runs in Formula 500. He literally built this car from scratch over the 10-day stint here at Mid-America. Since then, he's had a lot of success. In fact, won his division and also qualified on the pole. Of course, he'd love to cap everything off with the gold here at his first runoff. With more, a little farther back in the pack, let's go to my colleague, Chris Neville.
Ken, I'm back here with one of Dorsey Schrader's good friends, Bernie Stunier. Bernie is a longtime supporter of the Atlantic Series. In fact, this is his 8th runoff in a row. This guy loves the Atlantics. What does he love? He's got the need for speed, and he said there's nothing faster out here. He needs to be in an Atlantic car. He has his best finish of 4th a couple years ago. He doesn't quite think this older Swift chassis is what's going to be able to get him up to the front today, but he thinks with all those years of running in Atlantics, he's going to hopefully be able to get by some of these guys who are here for the first time. Next year, we should see him in a newer car, and hopefully he can get that podium that he's always dreamed of.
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. And, of course, experience plays a huge role in success when you are dealing with the pressures of going after a one-time, one-shot national championship. And when we come back, the green flag will be unfolding shortly in Formula Atlantic.
There's nobody better than George Strait.
The runoffs, the Olympics of motorsports. Great to have you all with us. Formula Atlantic will be unfolding very, very shortly. And let's get you to the starting lineup. Good field turning out for this national championship this year. You take a look, Dan Cobb on pole. A couple of guys very quick, the silver medalist last year, Dan Selznick, the young David Wilcox, and a very old Swift, Ben Beasley, lots of CSR records. The big story, maybe the gentleman there in 10. He has last year's track record. He's always fast. Got problems here this weekend, obviously. In 14th, Jacek Luka, the central, or his divisional champion, lots of wins, but comes here to the runoffs, finds himself buried in the pack a little bit with all his competition. Take a look at the rest of the field. There's another guy at the very back of the pack. It's a bit of a surprise as well. Pat Witherspoon won the Midwestern division and has not been able to get a time, so he's got himself some problems. Now, I alluded to at the top of the show the young David Wilcox and the fact that he's a bit of a hero. Well, a bit earlier this weekend, Ken Stout talked to him.
In 1988, sitting inside of this cockpit, you would have found Jocko Cunningham and the Pro Atlantic Tour. Now, it's David Wilcox. And 17 years later, you're still doing a great job with this very old car.
Yeah, it's been a great car. I tell you, we've got a few disadvantages just from the standpoint of downforce, and then also we're carbureted versus fuel injected. But other than that, it's just really been a great car. It's competitive most every weekend we're out.
He'd love to see a career best finish here. Of course, that would put him on the podium if possible, because here he's only finished as far up as 4th.
Tell you what, he's been awfully impressive here. As a matter of fact, on Monday, the first official day of running, he had that old Swift running at the top of the pack. He was fastest in that practice session. Obviously, as others dialed the cars up a little bit, he slipped back in the order just a bit. But Wilcox, very, very quick in that car without any problems at all. Loves driving it and throwing it around this very, very quick track here. Field obviously out on their pace and parade laps, getting ready to go. Warming up the tires. Let's check in one more time down in the pit lane. Chris Neville.
Greg, the battle that we've seen with Stallings and Selznick here at the runoffs, and I'm sure we're going to see in this race, is really an extension of what's been going on all year long on the West Coast. These two drivers have been battling out, going win for win all year long. These guys are really focused on trying to get the win here. Stallings has hired Alex Gurney to coach him all year long. Selznick, Alex Barron. These guys have really brought in the big guns to help them out with a win at the runoffs.
Wow, that's a who's who's list of success in the Pro Toyota Atlantic Championship. Those two guys, it's a great story going right to the top.
And Alex Benner, of course, a very successful IndyCar racer right now. And Alex Gurney, come on, what can you say about him? Every level of the sport, he's excelled.
Yeah, both Stallings and Selznick running in the Southern Pacific Division. 1-2 is how they finished. Let's get back down to the pits. Ken.
Hey guys, we got to talk about these cars. They are truly phenomenal. Some of the most technically advanced cars on the property, and they'll carry speeds upwards of 145 to 150 miles per hour. But even more impressive is the ground effects and the speed they'll carry through the turns, and of course the braking as well. Guys?
Well, that's a fact. That is where this class makes up a lot of its time. I mean, Jim Trado, they'll turn on a long, long straightaway. They can get 160, 165. But it's what they do in the corners that makes these things so spectacular.
We pointed out the tighter corners on the racetrack. It is passing zones for these guys. We may not see a lot of passing through the S's, but it's all about setting up, going through madness, heading out that off-camber turn down the back, down to Thunder Valley.
All right, here we go. Starting to form up a little bit. Dan Cobb on the inside, outside. Robert Stallings, the rest of the field. They are looking for the green, rolling into it, and the green flies. 20 laps of Formula Atlantic National Championship action on the way. And not a great start by Stallings. Cobb looking good, but coming right up underneath them is Selznick. Selznick, oh, they touched! Selznick and Stallings bump, and Selznick able to just slip through. Stallings does hang on to third. Another bump. 2 cars off. Big hit. One of them is Wilcox. Wilcox is in the wall. Joining him there is Ben Beasley. And also getting caught out in it is the 09. What an unfortunate development there for Sean Macy. But those 2 guys are done. And couldn't have happened any sooner in the race. I mean, they just got the green. Wilcox's dream is done.
They qualified 4th and 5th, and it was kind of a harried start. You mentioned that Cobb got the jump, but right behind him, they fanned out 4 wide coming down the back straightaway. And as they got to the corner, obviously not enough real estate.
Absolutely not. Let's go back and take a look at it one more time and watch those cars about 4th and 5th.
Jostling for position right in here. We'll see that they're going to make contact as they enter the corner. The left sides go off for the Wilcox car, and he sweeps Ben Beasley right up into the barrier.
Tough break. Not a lot of room. There you see Massey just trying to avoid, and other cars involved. Look at it from this angle.
You'll see a puff of smoke as they enter the corner, and then already sideways as both drivers believe they might have had the preferred line into the corner. Wilcox shaking his fist saying, why didn't you give me more room? Beasley's thinking, I need to make up spots immediately, and may have pinched him heading into that corner.
And, of course, as a result, we are now under a full course caution immediately while they're working on the cleanup. There's a good look at Wilcox, and obviously is a little bit frustrated, and he's trying to figure out what's going on. Just going to the wall right now. Beasley standing next to him, some of the other drivers as well. The field now just going to bunch up behind the pace car, and we're going to have to try and do it again. One thing about that area of track, going into the S's, as I understand it, Jim, you can easily run side by side, but when you get to the top of it, you've got to have everything sorted out, but that's exactly what's going to happen.
They're very dirty. We mentioned the speeds in these cars, and trying to get their handle on it, trying to get those tires warmed up, critical point in the race, unfortunately cost 2 of the top 5 guys.
Unfortunate indeed. So we're under the full course caution at this moment. The field's going to pack up, and when we come back to Mid-Ohio, we're going to try and get it started all over again. But these cars are still going to be mighty quick. Don't go away.
The rotary-powered Mazda RX-8.
SCCA Enterprises rolled out the new Formula SCCA class. This Van Diemen chassis was developed to fill a void in Formula car racing. SCCA wanted a car that was cost-effective to operate and stringently regulated so that the competition was on a level playing field. The car has a Mazda 2.3 four-cylinder stock motor which produces 170 horsepower. The car also costs approximately $30,000 and can be run for under $1,000 per race weekend. Over 100 cars have been sold in the United States. However, only 6 are competing here at the runoffs. Look to this class as a starting point for young drivers who want to move up through the ranks of Formula car racing in the U.S.
And that is exactly what SCCA is all about, and that's what these cars do. Now, you got a good look there. Number 39, David Grant, one of those stories. This is a class. Right now, the cars aren't as quick as the outright Atlantic cars, and they're looking to build it as a national class unto itself. That's what they're developing it toward, and the whole idea is cheap car, a reliable car, one that's easy to run, that gives young drivers, well, anybody really, a chance to get into racing. And David Grant living the dream right now as a result of that.
And they placed them on the grid as well as their own group, so they may be racing close together, really gaining some experience, engaging each other in those 6 cars in the field.
Absolutely, and just having a fun race nonetheless. There is a look at Beasley's Atlantic. That's interesting. That's that brand new Ralt you talked about at the top of the show. Brand new 41 Ralt RT41 running a Mazda engine, something relatively new in the Atlantic chassis. But let's get down to the pit lane with Ken Stout, who's got a disappointed dad.
Yeah, Ron Wilcox, father of David Wilcox, and also car owner. Not what you wanted here on lap number 1.
No, that's right. We were sure hoping they'd have a clean start and get through turn 1 and everything would be cool, but looks like he got tangled up with Beasley out there somewhere. They set hard into the wall. We tried to get hold of him, no contact as of yet, but we're just waiting to hear now what's going to happen, what's going on.
What a shame, guys. He really qualified very well in that car.
He was phenomenal. Like I said, on Monday, he was fastest of everybody, and he's been driving that car just beautifully. And he and Beasley getting together. He was inside Beasley, Jim, and you almost wonder if up at the top of that, I mean, the natural inclination is to turn in, and if Ben didn't turn in, maybe not realizing that Dave was already alongside him, and they just touched.
We saw Wilcox's car just the front wing and ahead of the rollback back there. Disappointing event. Think about the whole week and the time these crews take to get to the race and not make a lap. Man, it's a big heartbreak for the Wilcox family.
Tremendous amount of commitment to go racing all season long, but remember, to do the runoffs right, you have to take almost a week and a half off, and they were here, they were hoping for better, but such are the fortunes of motorsport. Welcome back to the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for SCCA's National Championships, the 41st running of the runoffs, and it is Formula Atlantic, obviously, as we got ready for the first start for this very, very quick class. We had a little bit of an incident. We have been under a full course caution. However, pace car lights are off. It pulls off into the now unused chicane area, and we are anticipating going back to green flag. And one thing, with the grooving that they did on the concrete patches of this track, Jim, lateral loads, it gives you tremendous grip, but it eats up tires. They now lost a few laps under yellow, looking for any silver lining. Tire life may be less of an issue.
They continue to weave back and forth, but we'll document it throughout the race, Greg. The concrete patches are in the corners, and they ground them down, and they actually make grooves in them, which loses traction for these cars that need every bit of speed in the corners to maintain position.
Oh, and we got a wave off on the restart, and I would guess the reason might be that Robert Stallings right there in the second place, he moved way outside and made a run. Remember, Selznick was actually the guy who was in second, and Stallings dropped the hammer coming out of the keyhole, and it looked like maybe he had nosed ahead just a smidge before the green flag flew, and of course that's a no.
Balance is everything. We've now gone a number of laps under caution. This is really a 20.5 lap race, but all of this momentum, you got to wonder if these guys who've been here since Monday, some since last Saturday, are calculated down to fuel mileage. This may be a few mileage run towards the end of this thing.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see, but certainly now they have to continue to just keep their heads in the game while they're just working around here. But it's a pretty amazing story. One for Dan Selznick. Well, here's another great story.
Even at the age of 54, race car drivers still want to raise the bar, and that's exactly what Dan Selznick's been doing this season. With SCCA, he's done a great job in the division, but you've also run a couple of pro races.
It's all about having fun. We're just trying to raise the bar and do as good as we possibly can, bring in the best people to help us run the team, and best driver coaches that we can possibly have, and go out and run a few. We were able to run Long Beach this season in Montreal, finished top 10 at Montreal.
Now, Jim Griffith, also the owner of Polestar Racing Group, has a very successful two-car team, but you guys get busier when Dan comes to town.
Yeah, we sure do, but Dan's a lot of fun to have around. We enjoy helping him at the club level, and then we're able to help him out when he goes pro racing.
Now, Dan has no illusions of becoming a full-time pro racer, but he says if it does happen, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
Well, not at all, and he certainly affiliated himself with a great group, that Polestar Racing Group. The young Danish superstar Ronnie Bremer came over this year, got a win at Denver, so obviously it's good. Now it's up to her. What's going to be the call this time? She isn't easy on the field. When they're out of line, they look to be very much, well, we got a pop in the back, but enough's enough, and away we go. We are green as we start now lap 6. And once again, there was an early move, but it looks to no avail. That driver, it's that car that was in the 5th spot, Ashton Yelkin. He was not able to do anything with it. Tucks back into 5th as the field now streams up and into the S's. Oh, nice move attempted around the outside there. That is, I believe, the number 87 of Merrill Swan. Didn't get it done, but a nice attempt right now. Meanwhile, here's our lead group of 3. Cobb in the red number 20, Selznick in the whitish car in the middle, and then Stallings, number 33 in 3rd. They've broken clear just a little bit from the pursuing pack. But Ken Stout, right now, Cobb qualified on pole, but he's had an awful lot of laps to be thinking about stuff.
Well, and I'll tell you guys, it's really a special story because Dan Cobb works with Team Tonise Kazmitz, and Fred Sassy, and they've helped him all year long with the setup. But at this particular race, Team Tonise has been working with the GT5 team, so Cobb's been going it on his own. He looks like he's doing a great job.
Wow, it's interesting to hear all these drivers that are going to the Pro Series and looking for a little help. Tonise Kazmitz is a guy who's had a lot of success, particularly here in Continentals, where he won a national championship. Meanwhile, Yelkin now, that's the number 4 of Yelkin. He has moved up and gone around the number 9 of Randall Cook, running out of the Northern Pacific Division. So Yelkin being aggressive, but look at Cook coming after him. Tucks right in behind, down through the kink. There they go by the start line. Cook trying to affect some sort of move. Yelkin Just feints out there, now makes it work. And coming up hard astern is the driver Adahan Koyman, who's trying to take a run as well. Boy, does he run a different line through the top of the S's. Koyman just hugs that curve. Oh, somebody was off.
Selznick.
And I think, yes, that is Selznick. There he is. He is dead stick right now. Winner of the South Pacific Division, bronze medalist last year.
We noticed the grass underneath the cars. He refired and pulled away. He had an off.
Some sort of an off. You wonder, was there help or did it just happen on his own? But for Dan Selznick, somebody else has gone in as well. That is the number 39 we talked about earlier, David Grant. And hey, nice try, David, but when you're in the kitty litter here, there is no way you get out when you're that far in without some serious help, mainly because of the ground clearance of these cars, and there's nothing for those tires to grip once you spin them a couple of times.
Crazy start of the race. We saw 3 of the top 5 contenders now before halfway get taken out through various means.
Well, you almost wonder if all those laps under caution in the early going, it doesn't play with your mind a little bit. Things get a bit more urgent. You're getting all frustrated in the cockpit and wanting to go. And look at this dicing around again. Again, Ashton Yelkin making a couple of rather aggressive moves, trying to break the toe of Randall Cook. And that's a fairly iffy area because the rules say, as we watch the battle forming up behind them, and here comes a big move, tempted down the inside. That is Swan. Got it done. Swan, beautiful pass, and sneaks around Adahan Koyman. So Swan, one of the early drivers on the move, and that was just a classic pass, Jim.
That Midwest Series driver really put it on him, and that's an area that is surprising to some that these Atlantic cars can pass in that zone. Great job.
Absolutely, and of course these cars just develop such tremendous grip, and it comes down to whether you have the confidence to exploit that. Certainly he did, and up front, Cobb doing a beautiful job.
So just when I'm thinking, isn't there a car out there I could get excited about? Wham! There's this car with all this stuff. Then as I'm thinking, now here's a car I could see myself in. Wham! There's this other car with all this stuff. 2 cars, the same, yet different. Kind of like those twins I met in Chicago.
The Mazda 3 and Mazda 3 5-door. Rethink what's possible.
Are you living with Crohn's? Is it putting your life on hold? Help put flare-ups on hold and keep them there. Remicade could help you achieve Crohn's control. It helps many people move forward with their lives. If you have moderate to severe Crohn's disease and haven't responded well to other therapies, Remicade could be right for you.
Remicade is not for everyone. Many people with heart failure shouldn't take Remicade. Remicade can lower resistance to infection. Your doctor should assess your risk of infection, and you should alert your doctor to any signs such as fever, fatigue, cough, or the flu. Serious events, some fatal, have been reported with Remicade, including infections such as tuberculosis and blood disorders. Nervous system disorders and lymphoma have also occurred. Remicade infusions may cause serious allergic reactions, including hives, trouble breathing, and low blood pressure.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Remicade today, because it's your life, not Crohn's.
Hey, Greg White here. On the next Two Wheel Tuesday, it's off to Italian motorcycle manufacturer Benelli and the ever-popular True Grits 50cc Fun Run. So tune in. It's Two Wheel Tuesday, 8 Eastern, 9 Pacific only on Speed.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back. If you're just joining us, we're underneath the Formula Atlantic National Championship competition here at Mid-Ohio. This is the start of the race, and watch what happens here. Bit of an incident here. 2 of the top players, Ben Beasley in the black car, the white car of young Dave Wilcox, get together. They are out. That resulted in a full course caution. Got rid of the full course caution, went for a restart, and it was waved off. One of the cars jumped a little bit early, so we went back and tried it once again. This time, green flew, and everybody funneled into the section of the track called the S's. Apparently no problem at this stage, but right there, running in second spot, the guy who was the silver medalist last year, Dan Selznick, got it wrong and half-looped it. He has dropped well back in the order. That continues to be your leader, who's just sort of put everything and everybody behind him with all of these things happening early. And Jim Trado, he is leading right now, the number 20 pole-sitting Dan Cobb.
Would you believe this construction worker just started racing 2 years ago? 2002. Now he's got a great piece, but come on, it takes a lot of talent to get these cars to go fast.
Well, apparently he's got the gift. He also won the Central Division, so it's not like it's a fluke. Here is Robert Stallings, who now sits in the second spot, which is where he qualified, driving the Blackhawk Motorsports Swift 014. This, too, a very trick piece of equipment, and Stallings doing a beautiful job here. A little aggressive on that one start, learned from that wave off, and has just settled in right now. Now trying to put his head down and go after leader Cobb. Oh boy, here we go. This is the battle. These two have been at it since the get-go. The lead car, Yelkin, and here comes number 9. Randall Cook goes to the inside. The problem there is if you get too far over to the inside, you've got to brake sooner because you don't have the radius, the nice open arc in the corner, and it can actually kill you going into that turn. That looks like what happened.
That's what happened to Cook. He lost 5 car lengths almost immediately because his line was so abrupt he couldn't get back on the throttle as soon as the 7 car of Yelkin.
Up and over the exit of the section they call Madness, and that's it. It is a crazy roller coaster ride back there, and those two continue to fight. Yelkin has been fairly aggressive in his defense as well when Cook has closed up a little bit, but so far these two have been racing it very, very clean in this battle for third, and they continue to work now out of the carousel onto the front straight.
And Yelkin has recent experience here. In August, he won the Mid-Ohio National, so in terms of getting comfortable with the racetrack, he certainly proved that. He was one of the guys that had very, very fast runs right out of the box. He's already turned 1 minute 20-second laps the first day, which really kept him up in the top 10, up in the hunt, and the confidence built from there.
Everybody, we had talked a little bit as we get a good look here at Randall Cook running out of Palo Alto, California. We've been talking about the concrete and how they grounded and literally grounded the length of the concrete, so you've got these strips through there, and what grip it's giving to cars that need lateral grip, which is, of course, what an Atlantic car is all about. Track records are just being blown out of the water. They lapped almost 2 seconds faster this year than they did last year in this class in qualifying. So these cars are really, really flying.
And last year was the first year without the chicane heading into turn 2 or the keyhole. So these guys built up a lot of speed last year immediately. But now with this paving, we keep talking about how they graded it and there's lines in there, but really it smoothed out the corners and they get a lot more speed through the turns.
Well, Anaheim Koyman, the car in the front of your picture with the yellow trim on it, is starting to feel, I mean, huge pressure because the guy chasing him is none other than Keith Lively. Twice a silver medalist here, one of the most talented drivers in the going. Had problems in qualifying, qualified only 10th, and now he is closing up, trying to get by Koyman. This is the battle for 6, and you can see Lively really steeping up the pressure right now, trying to find a way by. Coming up behind them is the number 19 of Bernie Sunier, who we heard from just a little bit earlier. So this battle right now getting real strong for that 6th spot, and Lively is the guy you got to be thinking about as taking a serious run at things, maybe a podium.
As you might imagine, that rear wing creates a lot of downforce. But unfortunately, those slicks don't work too well in the snow. And if you're based out of Montreal, much like Jacek Muka, then what do you do if you want to go racing in the winter when the season is short? You head south, and that's exactly what you do.
Yeah, every year we are coming to runoffs here, and sometimes we have some luck and sometimes we don't.
And you head south, and you love to race in the wintertime as well?
Yeah, we are going every year to Winter Nationals to Florida, and we do quite a lot of races every year.
With 20-plus events a year, there's no question he has a lot of experience, and in fact, a lot more than most of the rest of the field.
Well, he does an awful lot of racing, currently in the 10th spot. He races basically that same car. He's got a different chassis, but it's the same car with some bodywork draped over it in CSR. And with the advantages that car gives him there, he is virtually unstoppable. Here, up against some stout competition and similar equipment, a bit more of a struggle as we saw in qualifying and the like. Just, you wonder, now, how does a guy afford a couple of top flight, full-out modern Atlantic chassis? Well, he's got the patent for bubble wrap.
Is that what it is?
He's doing okay there.
All right. Well, maybe that's his secret, too. Maybe he lines the interior of the car with bubble wrap.
A lot of confidence if you run a little wide.
Carry it through the corner.
Some great racing here. Look back through the pack a little bit, and this is a great section of track here. There's our leader, Cobb, and he's coming up to some traffic, but he doesn't have a lot of groups in front of him, so we can sort of swing through. And as we watch Cobb working, oh, well, that's some help. Oh, Cobb's off! Leader is off! And I think he simply got distracted by that driver in front of him going off. You can see the frustration, and if Cobb hadn't gotten frustrated by it, he would have been able to go by. There is Tonis Kazimits right there, who is a tremendously gifted driver and obviously coaching. But for Dan Cobb, I think he's going to beat himself up just a little bit about this, because I think he let that car going off in front of him just distract him for a little bit, and that turn he was in, Jim, is absolutely pure commitment.
The blue car that was involved was the 39 car of David Grant, and as they went through that corner, we didn't quite catch it, but there was contact because one car went off, and you can tell by the reaction. It was not a pleasant experience. Let's take a look here. Coming through the corner. All the way off the racetrack. You're right, exactly that. He got off right there. You saw him hit the gravel, trying to make his line back, and as he tried to get back on course, locked it up and found the tires.
Well, sometimes what happens when you're chasing a guy and you're trying to set him up, if you have to remember, drive your line. And if the guy's running a little wide and you're right up with him, you might have the just the instinct to go with him a little bit, and suddenly he goes off and you go, uh-oh. And I really think that's what happened.
But if I'm not mistaken, that's the first car he came upon to get past him, as the car number 10. Excuse me, I was incorrect. That's Keith Grant. But it may be the first car he was coming up to lap in this race, where he had a clean line. He was focused on his line. There was a car ahead that got off just in front of him.
Well, and like I said, that corner is we've got, that's the 17, I believe, of Dave Blake. He is off track as well. And that's not going to be good, because he's still partially on course right there. And that's going to be certainly a local yellow, a yellow flag at that station. And when the car's partially on course like that, generally they like to come out and get that. Well, at least he's helped with his own cleanup. The corner workers always appreciate that. And Jim, let's take a look at what may happen there.
David coming through the corner was in the 8th position, and look at him get skyward. Down off of that corner, almost a blind turn. He got the rear wing of the car ahead, but what a scary ride for Bleak.
Well, look to me, like he was driving what was his line exiting the turn, and when the other guy came across, they just clipped. You're not used to backing up on a racetrack like that. That's got to get you thinking some funny thoughts. But again, up and out of the way right now. And I'll tell you what, you see the corner workers running there. These corner workers, and all the volunteers are phenomenal, but these corner workers do everything within their possibilities to keep it from going full course yellow, and they'll put their bodies in harm's way to go out and lift the car off the track, get it into a safe spot if they can, to let the racing go. And unfortunately, for this gentleman, well, better days ahead, one would certainly hope.
And as he goes past each workstation, as you mentioned, he's getting checked. Hey, are you okay? Are you sure you're okay? The adrenaline's rushing. He doesn't know if his hand's bleeding. He doesn't know any of that stuff. He just knows he's out of the race and very frustrated at that.
Now, this is the guy that he hit. Now,
the rear wing's off.
That's why.
The rear wing is off on Bernie Saunier's car as he goes through the corner. That was the car that he launched off. But Bleak got to the back of him, cleaned off the rear wing. No rear downforce. He ain't going to go too fast, too far.
Well, actually, you saw that lower element of the wing laying back and at an upward angle. So, if anything, that was generating a little lift. And you go over that rise there in madness, say goodbye. There is a sad sight. A leader. And it has all come to grief, but that means somebody else benefits. And for number 33, Robert Stallings, well, he's looking awfully good here in the championship chase. For the SCCA Runoffs, the National Championship Chase, Formula Atlantic is the class being contested. It is the fastest of all the classes in SCCA competition, particularly here. And there's the guy who is up front right now. That is Robert Stallings and his beautiful Swift. And he's benefited certainly from some things that have, involved and evolved in front of him. But he's also kept his nose clean and driven an absolutely beautiful race. He's got a pretty healthy margin over the battle for second right now, as we are well into the final quarter of this race. And as we watch Stallings, Keith Lively is the guy on the move. He has leapfrogged up into possible podium contention as we are taking a look at Stallings. And what a year he's had.
Stallings finished second in the Southern Pacific Division in 2004. He won 3 national races this year, including at PIR on the road course, Willow Springs, and Thunders Hill. He has track records at California Speedway and Thunder Hill. So this guy knows how to get it done. And look at this clean track ahead. This is kind of what we saw with Dan Cobb enjoying. Nobody around him, just getting his pace and getting some distance on the field.
Well, and we've seen 2 incidents that were, fairly serious, one involving Cobb, the leader, as we watch some dicing going on here. That is the number 16 right there. And coming after him right there, that is Bill Goldkind and the competition there. But the one thing to keep in mind is there's a lot of blind corners here, and that is what can create some problems. There's Ashton Yelkin and Chris Neville. We are getting down to the end of this thing, and he's currently sitting in a silver medal spot.
Yeah, Greg, Yelkin's just had a really tough week. This team is 3 motors over the course of the week, so they didn't think Lady Luck was going to be on their side for this runoff, but things have obviously turned. They're pretty darn excited. He started out 6th. He's in 2nd right now. He has been to the runoffs before, so this guy is a veteran here, and he's hunting Stallings, who's the rookie, but Stallings does have a good lead on him. I think Yelkin's probably going to need some help with possibly a yellow to catch up at this point in time.
Oh, absolutely. The margin is really substantial. We're running out of race time, and the number 66 of Keith Lively, you see him now involved in some lap traffic, and he had closed up just a little bit on Yelkin and then got caught in traffic, and it has caused him some big problems here. He needs to get by here, but that still is going to leave him, as you see the margin there, over 2 seconds back. Lively has got to find something right now to have a shot at better than a bronze.
And last year, Keith was in 2nd spot, pushing the envelope and spun out. How many sleepless nights do you believe he may have had, Greg, as he's trying to work his way back to the runoffs, get the national championship? This 3rd place is a great way to restart a charge towards a goal.
And then to come in here and struggle all week and end up qualifying 10th when he set the track record on his way to pole last year. He has been a frustrated gentleman since that last year's runoffs. And then to have the problems here and now to be able to fight back and maybe at least earn a medal here. Really, I think a remarkable story for Keith Lively. We are on our final lap, as a matter of fact, and Lively now clear of traffic. He is 3rd, but he's still the better part of 2 seconds adrift of Yelkin, as Lively running it down. And those of you who've been watching the runoffs here on Speed for a while, go back 3 years to 01 when Larry Connor ended up winning the championship, but he did it as a rear wheel started to come off the car. He drove 2 laps with the rear wheel loosening up on the locator hubs. Lively said, aha, I got him, and he lost 2 gears in his gearbox, and he ended up, I mean, hundredths of a second behind him at the finish. So frustration has reigned pretty heavy for Keith Lively, and I think a drive like this up through the pack, even though it's not gold, is going to feel pretty good. But Robert Stallings, just an incredible day to cap off, as you pointed out, a very strong season.
He ran Bondurant School just 3.5 years ago. He got the itch. We saw the early race leader as well getting in charge, Dan Cobb. These guys are only racing 2 or 3 years. Greg, is it a matter of they don't know any better? The history of the Mid-Ohio and the runoffs is coming true to form for this young man.
Well, part of it, and that just pure skill and a smart race, and it pays off with a gold medal for a guy, as you pointed out, who hasn't been running it that long. Just a superb effort, and brings home a gold. And again, he did it by being smart, by being at the right place at the right time and keeping his nose clean. Sometimes that's what it takes. And, boy, look at that fist pump. This is one happy puppy right now. Let's get down to Ken Stout.
Mark Lubin, crew chief, you guys have to be happy. You know, he said that this entire weekend has gone incredibly smooth for you guys.
Yeah, we've had a great weekend. It's been a rough year, and a lot of the luck hasn't gone our way, so it looks like it's changed here today. We're pretty excited. I know Bob's excited.
You guys have been saving it up. You saved it all for this race.
That's right. It's the only place it counts.
They are all smiles, guys, and deservedly so.
Without a doubt. I mean, you know, this may be what, you know, we're talking about the driver all race, but remember, this is so very much a team sport. And you may be able to drive the wheels off the car, but you got to have the guys that can put the wheels on the car and get them set up well. And he certainly is going to be celebrating with a crew tonight, because as a team, they pulled off a national championship.
Other than shifting, that right hand has remained in the air. He might have arm cramps tomorrow when he thinks about the gold medal hanging around his neck.
That's okay. He just looks down at that gold medal and that pain will go away. And obviously, he's going to be celebrating for a long time. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to celebrate for a moment with him and some of the other drivers in this remarkable national championship.
Now through Wednesday at Zayo.
To the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, where the Formula Atlantic National Championship has been decided. And it was a race, Jim Trado, that started off a little ugly. Some rough stuff happening, but in the end, a beautiful drive.
And when these teams rolled into Mid-Ohio's paddock, they knew they were going to fight for a gold medal. No returning champion made the field. They didn't make the effort this year to return to try to gather another medal. Atlantic's long been involved with SCCA, dating back to 1979. So in terms of experience and these guys getting things together, this series has a lot of history, and it comes true again with another national champion.
And we take a look at it. This year it goes to Robert Stallings with Ashton Yelkin. Remember that great battle he had with Randy Cook for much of the race. Keith Lively stuck in there and stole the bronze from Cook. Merle Swan, very aggressive from the beginning, put together a good run. Here you go a little bit further back in the pack, 19, Bernie Sunier, David Blake back there struggling as well. So some problems there. But the celebrations are beginning down to Ken Stout.
Robert Stallings gets the gold, and you know, I just had a brief second to chat with you before the start of the race. You said, I'm so excited. This weekend's gone so smooth. You were really ready to go racing.
I really was. You know, this is my first time here. We had the pole Tuesday and Wednesday, and we won. Outstanding. I'm so excited. I really am.
Talk to me about the race itself, and especially the start.
Well, Dan, who I race, Dan and I have raced for 2 years against each other. We're always butting heads. He got me on the start, kind of bumped me just a little bit out of the way, which was okay. But then all of a sudden, he got loose. I guess in turn 6 that was. He went sideways, and that was it. And then I was trying to reel in Dan Cobb, just very slowly. I wanted to be careful. And then all of a sudden, he got into it with some little sports car. That was it. And my guy said, "Calm down. Just finish now." So I did.
He's always so excited, guys. Congratulations. You're a winner here. Let's go to Chris Neville.
Ken down here with second place. Yasin Yelkin, you started 6th. You ended up 2nd. You kept your nose clean out there. Tell us about those opening laps.
It was pretty exciting. I think Ben and Wilcox got together, and before the race, I wanted to make sure that I was in a place where I can use some of the grass rather than the wall, so I ended up in the inside and avoided the incident. And the rest was really, had a little bit of challenge from white and black striped car, and I don't know the fella's name. And then Keith started coming up real quick, but it was too late by then. I couldn't catch the head of the guy, and he couldn't catch me. But it was a good run. It was worth the come.
Well, things got a little bit spread out there, but if that field bunched up, do you think you had had something for Ben Stallings?
I don't know. Like I said, we've been trying different things for all week. We don't think that we have the right setup in terms of the power. He's got some, decent motor underneath his car and newer chassis, but these are all excuses. This is the way it went today, and hopefully next time we'll get him.
Are we going to see you next time?
Oh, absolutely. You'll be seeing me a lot.
Well, these guys had a tough week, but they had a good race today.
Well, that's a fact, and I'll tell you a couple of things that were interesting there was his comment about did he have the speed for Stallings? I don't think so. Stallings' best lap was about a second quicker than the rest of the fields at this point, which tells you how good he was running. The other thing was when he didn't know the name of Randy Cook, reason is maybe the first time he's raced against him. That's what makes this event so very special. You come together, one race, who's the national champ? And it is Robert Stallings.